Sabr Daily.
Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters, welcome to this channel. Before we begin, let us take a moment together to supplicate to the Lord. O Allah, guide our hearts to the truth, grant us honesty and sincerity in this reflection, and make this moment a useful reminder for each of us. Amen. Before delving into today's topic, an important point must be made. The status of music in Islam has been the subject of genuine debate among Muslim scholars throughout history. This video presents the majority view, supported by the Quran and prophetic tradition, with all due methodological honesty. The aim is never to judge anyone, but simply to understand, with sincerity, what Islamic tradition says on this matter. There is a question that many prefer to avoid today, a sensitive subject that nevertheless touches the daily lives of millions of believers. What does Islam actually say about music? Before going into scriptural details, let's begin with an exercise in sincere introspection, far from any external judgment. Before going any further, if this kind of reminder touches your heart, consider subscribing to the channel and activating the little notification bell, so you don't miss any future reminders like this one. And now, ask yourself this question honestly before you continue watching: what truly occupies your heart each day? Stay until the end of this video, because we are going to explore this question rigorously, through the Quran, the prophetic tradition, and an honest perspective on this debate. In a hadith narrated by Imam Muslim, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, defines sin simply and directly: it is that which causes inner turmoil and which one would never want revealed to others. This definition does not impose anything externally, rather, it invites each person to look honestly at themselves. Ask yourself this question honestly, without immediately justifying yourself. If you were listening to your favorite music today, and someone you deeply respect suddenly entered the room, would you feel embarrassed, uncomfortable, or like quickly turning off the sound? This inner reaction, if it exists, often reveals a truth that the rational mind sometimes tries to circumvent with various justifications. According to Surah An-Najm, it is recalled that Allah knows perfectly what is hidden in the hearts, a reality which makes any attempt at concealment from oneself ultimately futile before the Creator. This introductory reflection is not intended to judge anyone from the outside. It is primarily a mirror, an invitation to honestly examine one's own habits before even addressing the more detailed scriptural evidence. For in matters of religion, sincerity with oneself always precedes a true understanding of the texts. It is important to state, with all due honesty, that the question of the status of music in Islam has been the subject of genuine debate among Muslim scholars throughout history, with some considering it completely forbidden and others permitting certain forms under specific conditions. This video presents the majority position, developed in the following sections, while honestly acknowledging the existence of this scholarly debate. There is a simple, almost universal image that aptly illustrates a recognized psychological phenomenon: someone who puts on loud music, surrounded by ordinary surroundings, may experience a feeling of escapism, almost of grandeur, for a few moments, before being abruptly brought back to reality once silence returns. This observation is not religious proof in itself, but an illustration of how certain distractions can temporarily divert the mind from its true state. This phenomenon deserves to be addressed honestly, because it touches on a broader question: what truly occupies your heart on a daily basis? What you naturally turn to in moments of emptiness, fatigue, or when seeking comfort often reveals where your deepest attachment lies. According to Surah Ar-Ra'd, it is recalled that it is through the remembrance of Allah that hearts find true tranquility, a peace that external distractions, however pleasant they may be at the moment, can never offer in a lasting and profound way. In a hadith narrated by Imam Bukhari, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, taught that the heart of the believer should remain attached to the mosques, like a lamp suspended within them, an image evoking a constant and stable attachment, quite different from the perpetual search for temporary and changing escapes. It is never a question of judging those who appreciate music in their daily lives, but rather of inviting sincere reflection: what in my life brings me real and lasting peace, and what offers only a passing escape, quickly followed by a return to inner emptiness? There is a principle widely taught in Islamic tradition that the habits we form in our daily lives naturally tend to manifest themselves in our final moments as well. This principle invites serious reflection on what we truly cultivate in our hearts, day after day. It is important to be honest here. Popular accounts of people dying while singing rather than reciting the Shahada, while widely shared in some preaching circles, are generally not authenticated hadiths, but rather informal testimonies or anecdotes. Therefore, I prefer to rely solely on sound textual principles rather than these unverifiable accounts. According to Surah Ibrahim, it is recalled that Allah strengthens believers with a firm word, in this life as in the hereafter, highlighting the importance of constantly nourishing one's heart with this firm word rather than other influences that could weaken it over time. In a hadith narrated by Imam Abu Dawud, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, taught that a man will be resurrected according to the state in which he died, a principle which invites every believer to seriously reflect on the habits he maintains on a daily basis, without drawing definitive conclusions on individual cases that no one can know with certainty, this judgment belonging solely to Allah. This principle is therefore never a tool for judging the end of anyone's life, as no one can know the final judgment reserved for a soul, but rather a personal invitation to cultivate, from today onward, what one wishes to see dominate one's own heart. Let us now turn to the most frequently cited text concerning this specific question. A hadith narrated by Imam Bukhari relates that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, announced that there would be, among the members of his community, people who would make lawful, of their own accord, fornication, silk for men, wine, and musical instruments. It is important to clarify a significant methodological point. This hadith is transmitted with a particular chain, called mu'allaq, suspended, in Bukhari's collection, which has led to technical discussions among hadith scholars regarding its precise classification. However, the vast majority of scholars throughout the centuries have considered this chain to be reliably connected through other routes of transmission, and the hadith is generally accepted as authentic by the overwhelming majority of hadith scholars. On this basis, the majority position of the four major Sunni legal schools considers musical instruments to be forbidden, with the exception of certain specific contexts such as the tambourine, duff, during celebrations such as weddings, an exception itself supported by separate authentic hadiths. However, in all honesty, a minority of renowned scholars throughout history, as well as some contemporary thinkers, dispute this interpretation or propose different nuances, particularly regarding the precise scope of this hadith. This question, therefore, remains, like many questions of Islamic jurisprudence, a subject of genuine scholastic debate, even if the position presented here remains largely the majority view throughout Muslim history. Beyond the instruments themselves, the prophetic tradition also addresses the question of the human voice and its use. A hadith narrated by Imam al-Bazar, whose authenticity is supported by the work of the contemporary scholar al-Albani, mentions two types of sounds disapproved of in Islamic tradition. It is important to be honest and state that this particular hadith, like the previous one, is the subject of technical debate among hadith scholars regarding its chain of transmission, with some considering it weak. Therefore, I mention it with this necessary methodological reservation, rather than presenting it as an absolute certainty. What remains firmly established, however, is the general principle that the voice, a precious gift from Allah, is best used for purposes that draw one closer to the Creator rather than for entertainment that permanently distances one from Him. According to Surah Luqman, some men by frivolous entertainment to lead people astray from the path of Allah without true knowledge, a verse that several classical exegetes have associated, with varying degrees of methodological certainty, with certain forms of musical entertainment of the time. This point therefore invites, with the necessary methodological caution, a sincere reflection on the use that each person makes of their own talents, without categorically condemning all forms of vocal or artistic expression. To conclude this reflection, let us turn to a constructive and positive perspective. Those who possess a beautiful voice, a precious quality bestowed by Allah, can choose to dedicate it entirely to what draws them closer to their Creator, rather than limiting it to fleeting entertainment. According to a hadith narrated by Imam Bukhari, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, taught that the best people of the pre-Islamic era often become the best once they sincerely embrace Islam, provided they acquire a profound understanding of it. This principle applies perfectly to personal talents and qualities. what was once used in one direction can be redirected with the same intensity towards good. In a hadith narrated by Imam Muslim, the importance and special reward given to those who perform the call to prayer, the adhan, is recalled, a practice requiring precisely a beautiful voice put directly at the service of the community and the remembrance of Allah. According to Surah Al-Muzammil, the Lord asks us to recite the Quran with care and diligence, a direct invitation to use a beautiful voice for Quranic recitation, a practice whose spiritual value is widely recognized by all Muslim scholars, without any divergence on this specific point. So if you possess the precious gift of a beautiful voice, never limit it to mere fleeting entertainment. Use it for the adhan, for Quranic recitation, or for Islamic chants without instruments or inappropriate lyrics. This gift, placed at the service of your Creator, will bear far more lasting and precious fruit than any ephemeral amusement. If this video has helped you gain clarity, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay connected for each new reminder. Also, please take a moment to like the video, it greatly helps this community grow. And if you'd like to share your feelings right now, comment, "God is great," so that others can see your testimony and be inspired in turn. Finally, if you wish to continue nourishing your soul, click now on the video that just appeared on the screen. May Allah keep you, protect you, and grant you peace of heart until our next meeting.